What's up, street racing family? I've got a wild one for you today. A story of power, perseverance, and pro-charge passion that'll get your heart racing. We're headed north, way north, to Toronto Motorsports Park, where Street Outlaws legend Shawn Ellington, aka Murder Nova, took his fire-breathing beast across international lines to throw down in a match race weekend like no other. Now, before I even get into the passes, let's talk about what it took to get there. 40 hours. You heard that right. 40 grueling, unpredictable hours of hauling across the continent. And not by choice either. A wrong turn somewhere along the way added over a dozen hours to the journey. Most teams would have called it. Most drivers would have said, let's try again next time. But not Shawn. Not the Murder Nova crew. They just gritted their teeth, crushed energy drinks, and kept pushing. And honestly, that dedication set the tone for the entire weekend. So, they roll into Toronto a little rough around the edges, probably running on fumes, both in the truck and in their bodies. But the fans? Oh man, the fans showed up. Canada showed love, and it lifted the whole team's spirits. Shawn even joked that he barely saw the facility because the pit was swarmed from the moment they unloaded. And that's the beauty of what these guys do. They show up and the fans show out. That kind of support, that kind of energy, it fuels more than just race cars. Now let's talk about that first pass, because wow, what a moment. Scheduled to go out around 2:30 p.m., but you know how racing goes? Delays, motorcycles, and on-track crash. It wasn't until nearly 6 p.m. that Murder Nova finally rolled up to the line to face off against Mario's ultra-clean orange and white Camaro. But then, curveball, the car dies on the line. Right there, trans break in, ready to launch, and it shuts off. Not once all year had that happened. And yet, right there in front of thousands of Canadian fans, it stalls. But here's the difference between a driver and a legend. Shawn didn't throw a fit, didn't roll off frustrated. He fired that thing back up and sent it. And folks, what a run it was. Murder Nova ripped the strip at 202.9 miles per hour. His fastest pass ever. That's not a guess. That's not hype. That's history. Even though he gave the win to Mario because of the initial stall, everyone knew what they had just witnessed. Murder Nova was now running in rare air. And just when you thought the crowd couldn't get any more electric, boom. Match race 2. Murder Nova versus Ryan Martin's Fireball Camaro. This was the dream pairing fans came for. But behind the scenes, there was hesitation. Shawn was real with the camera, saying, if I race Ryan, I'm going to turn it up. He's going to turn it up. And we're going to be dumb. And look, that's facts. No prize money, no points on the line, and a brutal 20-hour haul home. Why risk it? But here's why we love these guys. They still lined up. For the fans. Because they know what it means to show up and show out. And the result? A drag race for the books. Shawn didn't cut the best light, going .063 on the tree, but Ryan jumped early and red lit. Still, the cars were flying. Front ends lifted at half-track, both of them on kill. The roar of the engines, the wall of sound from the crowd. This wasn't just match racing. This was theater. This was adrenaline. This was everything street racing is supposed to be. Now, not everything went perfectly. Sunday, on pass 3, Murder Nova laid over hard. Lost all boost about 2 seconds in. It was the kind of sudden drop that tells you something big just failed. The team dove into it. Checked the Pro Charger. Good. Gear drive? Solid. Burst panel? Intact. Nothing obvious. Then someone caught it. Tiny holes in the intake runner bolts. Could those be leaking boost under pressure? Possibly. So they replaced the panel, swapped in a fresh Pro Charger just to be safe, and crossed their fingers for one more shot at redemption. And folks, what a final run. With the nerves high and the team holding their breath, the Murder Nova launched with precision and fury. A 0.925 60-foot. That's lightning in no prep or prep racing. It screamed down the track at 249 miles per hour. That's not just fast. That's leave your jaw in the stands fast. Shawn was pumped, especially after nailing a much improved .08 reaction time. That's my driver right there, he shouted, clearly proud of the bounce back. He barely lost a round, but honestly, that run won the weekend. What we saw in Toronto wasn't just a few passes down a drag strip. It was proof that the Murder Nova, after years of tuning, rebuilding, setbacks, and upgrades, is now stronger, faster, and more consistent than ever. But even more than that, it showed us the heart behind the horsepower, the grit behind the grind, the man behind the machine. Murder Nova didn't just go to Canada to race. He went to connect, to inspire, to remind fans, especially those who rarely get to see these cars up close, what makes drag racing such a passionate, powerful sport. He raced through mechanical issues, travel nightmares, and fatigue. And in doing so, he left behind not just rubber on the track, but memories in every mind watching. But let's not forget one of the biggest takeaways from this entire weekend. Canada loves drag racing. The fans up north showed up in force, with pack stands, die-hard gearheads, and even families bringing their kids to witness street racing legends in action. And that's a huge part of why events like this matter so much. It's not just about the ET slips and trap speeds. It's about bringing the culture to life. It's about inspiring the next generation of racers, the kids who might have seen the Murder Nova and thought, I want to build something like that one day. And that, my friends, is why Murder Nova keeps pushing. Shawn has built one of the most iconic cars in the sport, and yet he's still out here evolving, refining, and risking it all just to deliver a show for the people. It's easy to assume these guys are just chasing speed, but when you hear Shawn talk, you realize it's deeper than that. He's chasing moments. And this weekend, he gave us a handful of unforgettable ones. Now, I know there are always keyboard warriors who will say it was just an exhibition, or those were easy matchups. But let's get real. Running over 200 miles per hour consistently, shaking off mechanical setbacks, and doing it all after a 40-hour drive? That's elite-level racing. That's professionalism. That's passion. Exhibition or not, this was high-stakes, high-speed storytelling at its best. And if you've been following Shawn's journey from the early Street Outlaws days to the Murder Nova 1.0, and now this pro-charged monster, you know how far he's come. The Murder Nova has transformed from a cool street car into a purpose-built, fire-breathing drag machine. It's a reflection of the man behind the wheel, always improving, never settling, and still hungry after all these years. That hunger is exactly what makes these match race weekends special. There's no TV crew calling the shots, no script, just real racers, real cars, and real fans coming together to celebrate what we love: speed, struggle, and straight-up badassery. And Toronto got that in spades. Every burnout, every wheel lift, every rev limiter hit. It was a love letter to the sport. So if you're sitting at home thinking about building your own car, wondering if it's worth the time, money, and busted knuckles, let me be the one to tell you, it is. Murder Nova's success didn't come from money or shortcuts. It came from years of trial and error, from pushing through breakdowns, from staying humble and keeping at it. And if you can do it, there's no reason you can't chase your own racing dream, too. Alright guys, if this video got your adrenaline going, make sure you smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and tell us in the comments. Where should Murder Nova go next? Should the Street Outlaws crew take on Australia? Mexico? Back to the OG streets? Let's hear it. Until next time, stay fast, stay safe, and remember, real racers never lift.